So let's talk about this Simon guy because his backstory, it's a little, what's the word? Hazy. I don't know. Not much is known. Basically, he's from the UK. He was born January 15th, 1962, and not much is known about his home life. His mother is dead now, and he's not close with his dad or his brother. What we do know is that he did get into some trouble legally in the UK. First, he had this crazy situation where he basically stole his friend's computer password and then used that to get into his email and then started sending messed up emails from his friend's email to his friends and family. And then he also got in trouble for stealing. And then in April of 2007, something else happened that made Simon go absolutely insane. And that was the fact that the landlords decided that they were going to put some power pole to a transformer and put some cables in and connect it to the house. And this upset Simon greatly because of the electromagnetic fields that were going to make him even sicker than he already was. So they had this neighbor. His name was Bruce Blackburn. And Bruce was an electrical contractor who was hired by the landlord to lay down the cables and do the work for the transformer. So one day he shows up to the property. He's like digging a trench to put the cables in. And all of a sudden, Simon comes out and he's very upset. According to Bruce Blackburn, he was ranting and raving. This is the quote from Bruce. He said, Simon was paranoid about electromagnetic fields. He was always ranting and raving about them, up to the point where he was breaking out in hives. His face looked as if it was about to burst. It was so red. Simon told Bruce, like, the EMF from this is making me sick. And then Bruce told him, listen, the EMF from the appliances in your home is way more than what this transformer is going to give off. And he said that Simon did not like the fact that he said that. He just got very agitated and aggravated, he said, and then he stormed off. As he was leaving, he tells Bruce, this is why I'm leaving and going to Brazil, to get away from this EMF bullshit. They didn't go to Brazil, but Bruce kept coming back. He came back 3 more times to continue this work. And each time he came back, Simon was crazier and crazier, and the shit was escalating. So this is what he said. He began burying a heap of magnets around the place because he believed they diverted these rays away from him. I went up there once and he was yelling at Tony, who was digging away in the backyard trying to find the magnets. The second last time I saw him, he was covered in hives. He said they were killing him and his daughter, and that he had gone to the doctor to get some sort of medication. He and Tony were off the planet. Now, the gag is this entire time that Simon is like breaking out in hives and saying that the EMF is making him sick and stuff, the transformer was never connected. Simon thought he did, and he's burying magnets and having Tony bury them and then dig them up and then do God knows what. And I don't know where the hives are coming from.
So the story about Simon could be any story because it's the same story almost every time. Same themes, different characters. Simon was clearly getting hammered with radio frequencies by Freddie, and he thought it was coming from the transformer, which honestly is a step up from the spook in the car. That is an improvement, so that's a little refreshing. But the reason why Simon experienced hives is because of the DARPA skin. There's your connection. In fact, if you look hard enough in almost every single one of cases like this, where Freddie is orchestrating all of the chaos behind the scenes, people don't know what it is, and they can do anything from what this guy did, which is start a cult and then disappear. Sorry for the background noise. Or, you know, think it's your ex-girlfriend or your neighbors or demons, some kind of demonic attachment. Anyway, the hives is most likely a physical reaction from an increase in more focused radio frequencies bombarding that individual named Simon. So, is there anything else in there? He was most likely in the bewilderment stage or just past it. The bewilderment stage is when the technology that is run by AI, not people, AI, Freddie, keeps you awake from 2 to 6 weeks. Like, the idea that you can only go like 28 days without sleep is not true. I was kept awake for at least 3 weeks straight. I actually went back and looked at my journal. It was like 3 weeks and 4 days or something. But anyway, and that was with zero sleep, no sleep. And I thought it was coming from the 5G towers because every time I would walk past one, once it went overt, I would get zapped. And like people would take notice to that, you know. So at least Simon didn't think it was a spook in a car or aliens. At least he thought it was the transformer because you know what? He's not entirely incorrect. I don't know what happened to these people. I don't know the whole story. I'll leave a link below. But I'm going to start sort of deconstructing true crime stories that may or may not be real and may or may not include operators. I'm not sure with this one. I can't tell. I haven't done any research on it except for just, you know, I've watched the video a couple of times. And then explain to you the role that Freddie plays, which explains the human behavior, which makes no sense without Freddie. And also the DARPA skin, because like, why the hives? And if you look into every single one of these cases, you will find some kind of skin issue, whether it's acknowledged or not. So if the DARPA skin doesn't exist, then why is there always an increase in the sinus infection and some kind of skin issue? It's because that's your wearable device and it's inside and out, whether you like it or not. The only possible way for someone to believe that is to experience this technology in a negative fashion. I've never met anyone other than my husband who's been able to understand it as a concept, but he certainly does not understand it as exoskeleton. Anyway, Grandma loves you all. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching.